Hi, I'm Tara from the Marathon Mates. We're often asked by newcomers to running, guys, what do you think about when you're running? Well, on this episode, we're going to dive into our heads and understand what is going on there while we're running, from thoughts of wanting to give up to pushing forward and being in our happy places. We can't wait to talk to you about what we think about. We've been there and we've had the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to the low of what goes on in our heads. We have had the experience and the knowledge as we are the only podcast with 4 6-star major marathon medalists as co-hosts. And this is the Flying Runr Podcast. Are you ready to run? Let's go.
Welcome to the thrilling world of the Flying Runr, brought to you by the Marathon Mates.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Flying Runr. I'm Tara from the Marathon Mates, and this is episode 108. Do you struggle to keep your head in the game when running? Do you ever ask other runners, what do you think about when you're running? Well, on this episode, we're going to tell you what goes on in our heads, and whether or not you want to know about it, we're going to tell you. So it quite often goes back to what is going on in your head and how you want to keep going. So with this, on tonight's episode, we're going to tell you what goes on in our heads, and we've all been there and experienced it all, from the very positive and the happy to the very negative and the very ugly. But before we talk about what's on in our heads, let me introduce you to my marathon mates, our co-hosts tonight. I've got Lucia back again from being sick, which is great. Tony, and of course my other half, Tim. Now, he has written in the show notes, better half. I will say other half. So, hi guys, it's good to see you again. How's your week been? And more importantly, how's everyone tracking towards Sydney? And what is it, 4 weeks to go from this?
By the time the episode drops, it will be just over 4 weeks.
Just over 4 weeks. Excellent. Luch, how are you going with your running this week?
Better than what I was, didn't get the long run I wanted in. But yesterday I had the 10K real insurance harbour run. It's one of my favourite races on the calendar. It starts in the rocks in the city, it does some of the marathon course, and it finishes at the overseas passenger terminal. It's a good course if you want to try and get a good 10K time, because there's 1 or 2 minor inclines, but nothing major. One of my favourite races, and high-fiving kids along the way. So considering where my training has been, I was happy with where I came. So I had a couple of runs this week. It's another busy week. So hopefully I need to get one long run in done prior to Sydney with a 3 in front of it, just mentally for me, because let's face it, our listeners know I'll be sweeping in Sydney, not with the broom. Let's just make that clear, people. I'm not sweeping the streets of Sydney, but I'm one of the pacer sweepers. So it's going to be a very leisurely day for me. If you can put saying 7 hours, at least 7 hours on your feet as leisurely, that will be me.
Excellent. No park run for you this week?
No park run.
Excellent. Sorry,
just quickly, Lucia, the 7 hours, is that 7 hours from when the gun goes, or is that 7 hours from when the last person starts?
So it's 7 hours from when the last person crosses. So the 7-hour paces, they'll be in front of the last person. So it's not gun time. It's it's not gun time like some of the other majors do. It's from when the last person crosses the start line. So for instance, if you start in the first half hour, let's say, you could have more than 7 hours in doing it.
Is this a case where we need to petition Robert Wang to start last, like he did in Boston a year or so ago?
Won't be that ruthless, because if our listeners, if anyone gets to me on race day, you're going to be close in being cut off.
And I think Sydney's got a bit of a reputation already for celebrating final finishes. So I think that's part of the the DNA of the race, I know from last year, I crossed in 6:05. Sharon was about 6:20, and they celebrities down the finish straight and people, ambassadors, and they're all high-fiving all the runners that were coming through at that stage. So I've got no doubt that, once again, they'll do something similar and celebrate those final finishes.
So if any of our listeners catch Lucia, grab her hand and make sure she drags you along, is what we're saying here at the moment.
Yeah, just keep her away from ice cream trucks,
donut places,
and convenience stores. So.
Yes.
Oh, she's on the clock this time. She's got to do her job. And Tony, how's your back going? Are you back to running, or are you doing dishwasher duties yet? Or?
Yeah, so I've I got out for a run on the weekend, 10K on Saturday, and then 5K on Sunday. A little bit, a lot slower than what I'd like to think I can still do, but I just wanted to take it a little bit easy. And that dangerous job of unloading the dishwasher happened upon me this morning, and I was looking at it and I'm thinking about it. But I took the opportunities to bend the knees and do it correctly, and it must have looked really stupid. But anyway, so the back's I reckon about 90%, but I've got a little bit of lingering pain in the hip, which is probably the worry. I'll probably try and do a midweek run this week, just a small one, 3 to 5 or something, and then run the half marathon in Townsville on Sunday, which looking forward to.
Excellent. You might be able to get this cold windy Brisbane weather for a change. So
that'd be nice. That would be nice. 6 degrees in the morning. It's tip, and I will be in bed. I will be taking not just a Monday rest day this week. I will have a Tuesday rest day. So
excellent. Good choice for that one. Now, Tim, I know you didn't take a rest during the week, but are you going to take one tomorrow morning?
I'll see how I feel in the morning, but probably bed will sound like the best option. But I got to get up early anyway for work, so we'll just wait and see. I've got to be out in the cold.
But you did actually run this week, I noticed on your Strava.
Yeah. So I did a midweek run, which was good. I got one midweek run in. We did park run at Petrie Park Run here in Brisbane. Started off with Tara for the first 500 metres or so. Hit the first hill and realised Tara was going at her pace up the hill, and I was going a bit quicker, and I was like, off I go. So ended up coming in single digits. I came 9th, which I was pretty happy with, even though I had a slowish start. I was pretty happy to come 9th at Parkrun. So backed that up on Sunday with a nice, comfortable 18K run walk with Tara. So, yeah, we're getting back into it nice and easy with, just over 4 weeks from when this drops. So, yeah, we're in a good place, I think, at the moment, Tara.
Yep, absolutely. And we won't be doing too much this week anyway. We've got the half marathon at the Sunshine Coast on Sunday. So Sunday's run, the 18Ks that we did together, was a bit of a step backwards for me heart-wise, unfortunately. I just wasn't feeling it. There was something not quite right. So there was a lot of walking involved in that. I was actually aiming for 25Ks and got to 9Ks out, and I'm like, nah, not doing any more. Turned around and came back. My heart was just going, stop. So I didn't want to push it. But that's okay. Good days and bad days with running, as we all know, and that's one of those things that goes through our heads. So let's have a look at this. Tony, before I hand it over to Tim, did you want to talk about something before we do?
Yeah, I did. It's been really awesome lately. We've been getting a lot more comments and questions coming through, not just our social media channels. As you know, we're on Instagram and Facebook. People can comment on Spotify as well, which is always good to see. And they can also email us happyrunning@flyingrunner.com, or they can go to the website and send us on the contact page. They can send us their questions. So numerous ways to make contact with us, but just bear in mind, please, that We don't do this professionally, so don't be disheartened if we don't get back to you straight away, or we don't have an AI bot sitting there talking with you. We prefer to answer our messages and any questions in a personal way. So it may take us a little while, but we do get back to you. And I do just want to recognize 2 people during the week. Kim reached out on our contact page on our website and asked for some questions from Tara around the Curran's product and how she uses it. Now, Kim, you should have that in your email as we've responded back. So, and that's just another little point that I do want to make. If people have a specific question for a specific panelist, let us know who you would want to hear more from on that particular question. In this case, it was a question that was raised to Tara. So Tara's the person that's created the answer for you. And Victoria Miles, our good friend Victoria Miles, who comments every week. And Vic, you keep that up, please, because we love it. We love it. She would love to hear a little bit more about Amsterdam.
Actually, Tony, I saw her yesterday, and after you spoke about it as one of your races, she's interested in doing it next year. So she definitely wants an update post the race from Sharon and yourself.
Absolutely. So we're going to share some of that, I would imagine, prior to going, the registration process for Amsterdam. So, Victoria, please keep tuning in because we will share how that all works. And, of course, you'll get a bit of a post-race understanding. She also says that she's changing her mind. She may not be ready for Cape Town, but she's looking to run in Greece. So have any of you guys run the Greece-Athens marathon?
No, and I've heard mixed stories about the course. So
yeah, so have I.
Yeah, so it's not high on the list, but yet finishing in the ancient Olympic Stadium would be up there.
Amazing.
Yeah, so there's others I'd do before Athens.
Yeah. Too easy. So, Victoria, you will hear about Amsterdam as we get a little bit closer to it. But as I said, please keep popping your comments and questions in. We love them. Back to you, Tara.
Excellent. Well, it's actually going to be handed over to Tim now because we're going to go to the news. And Tim, what's happening around the world in the world of news this week?
Thanks, Tara. The first bit of news I've got is a recent study in the US has analysed more than 2.2 million 5-kilometre race results, which were collected over the year 2024, so last year, across the United States. And it's revealed some truths about pace and age and performance. So out of the 2.2 million 5K finishes analysed, only 1.85% of runners were sub 20 minutes. So people who sit there and go, I want to be a sub 20-minute runner, if you do that, you're in the top 2% of all runners. When filtered further, men aged between 15 and 22, only 5.8% of them were breaking 20 minutes. Guys, without looking at the notes, what do you reckon the median 5K time for men over 5Ks was?
27 minutes.
No, you're wrong.
Okay. Was I close at least?
For men, the median 5K time is 32 minutes. For women, the median 5K time is 39 minutes. So if you're faster than those, you're greater than 50% of the runners that are running in those races. So the moral, I guess, is you're not as fast or you're not as slow as you think you are. No matter how slow you think you're doing a 5K run, you're not really that much slower than most other people on an average or a median time frame. And, you know, there's a whole heap of differences there as well for, you know, depending on your age, it changes as well, depending on your age group as well, we can dig deeper into the results and look at it based on who are in the top 25%. So to give you an idea, if you're competing in the 30 to 39 year age group and you're a male, the top 25% of times are in the 25 minutes 45 or less. For women in that age category, 30 to 39, the top 25% or the top quarter of times, 31:05. So it's revealed that people run 5Ks, but generally don't run them as fast as we think people run them.
Tony,
so I guess
that's something that we can put up for our viewers on our page so that they can actually see those results.
Yeah, I can put the reference to the study in there, but
yeah, just so that they can actually see the age groups for themselves.
Yeah, we can put it on our Facebook or social media, but I think it's really good for people to look at it, and particularly back of the pack runners or alleged back of the pack runners, that you sometimes sit there and go, oh, the fast people at a 5K or a park run have already packed up, gone home and eating breakfast while I'm still crossing the finish line. But the reality is, even if you're a slower runner or a slower run walker at the back of the field, you're still doing better than most other runners out there. And I think that's the encouraging thing out of this study.
Yeah, I like it.
Yep. Yeah, agree. All right. The other bit of news I've got is on the Australian Outback Marathon. This is one of our favourite events. I know, Lucia, you haven't been there, but Tony and Tara and myself have been there. And this is definitely a must-do marathon. It's a bucket list marathon event. It's always held on the last Saturday in July every year. And runners get to run on tracks that are generally limited to only the marathon or the runners on the event. They're fantastic views of Uluru and Katajuda, and it's just awesome to be out in the desert running at that time of the year. Great weather, great sunrises, great sunsets, and just all-round magical experience. So the run this weekend was on. There were 75 finishes in the female marathon event and 52 finishes in the men's marathon. Grace Tame won the women's event in 3 hours and 5 minutes. That's running on sand and running up and down sand dunes. And in the men's event, Toby O'Brien won the race in 2 hours 53, which is pretty good times given what it is. In the half marathon event, there were 93 women and 53 men. And by all reports from people we've seen on social media, we know of Andrew and Vic, who ran the full marathon, and Pete and Suzanne, who ran the half. By all reports, it was another successful event. And guys, this is definitely one event that we love. And I know, talking to Tara again, the old FOMO's kicked in, and we'd love to get back there one time in the next few years and do it all over again, because it was fantastic.
Yes, it was. It's always a great event, the Australian Outback Marathon, and Grace Tame would have been second overall.
Yeah, I'd say so. Looking at those times, I didn't look at the overall results, but they are up online, and she would have been second overall, which is a phenomenal effort. It's probably
fantastic effort. She ran 3:05. The male winner, Toby O'Brien, ran 2:53. The second male was 3:19. So,
yeah.
But I also want to do a big shout out to Robert Wang's brother, Stephen Wang, who, I don't know if he's Robert's brother. It might have been cousin, but yeah, he was. He came 30th in a time of 4:33. So well done, Stephen. And it's good to see all the internationals that are running the event nowadays. Another pleasing thing. So well done.
Yes. No, it hopefully, it looks like it was a success for everyone out there. So, and that's the news this week.
Excellent. Thanks, Tim. So now it's time for us to talk about what goes on in our heads when we run. So we'll do this as a question and answer type things. I'll ask the questions and you guys just yell out your answers to me. So I'll actually start with you, Lucia. When you're running, what do you think about? Is it your pace, your form, breathing, or is it something else? What's your main thought when you start your run?
Okay, so you guys won't be surprised when I answer this, but all depending on the race, it will be probably what am I going to eat afterwards, first of all. But sometimes then I think about, like for instance, a good example yesterday. Yesterday was just about getting it through because my hamstring's slight niggle, so I didn't want to push it too far, like too hard. So I'm like, okay, so one interval I'll go faster, one interval I'll go slower, and then check the time as it came up on my Garmin. So definitely about pace and how I'm feeling. Like, what is my effort feeling like? Can I feel like I can go harder, or if not, like, am I feeling like I need to go slower? So I arrange a whole different things. Like another one yesterday was there was a lady that we were always kind of chasing each other, and I'm like, I want to beat her. So I'm thinking I've got to keep sight of her because I don't want that hydration vest beating me. I don't know. I lost her at the end. So I think of a whole range of stuff, but ultimately it's like, okay, so the finish line is at point A. I'm getting the bus at point B. Where's the closest Macca's in between point A and point B sometimes? So, yeah, I'd love to say I think about normal stuff, but I think we'd be shocked if I did say anything other than that.
I think we would be very shocked if it wasn't about food for you, Lucia. So, yes. And Tony, what about you? What's your first thoughts when you start out your run?
I really should have prepped a little bit on these questions, to be honest, and I really meant to, but yeah. What are my first thoughts when I set out for a run is usually, why are my legs feeling so stiff? Why do I feel so awkward? I hope this gets better. All of those sorts of things. But what I generally think about is I try not to think, because I know that I've got a very strong mindset around what's happening with my calves. And as most people know, I've got a history with my calves, and carrying a little bit of extra weight at the moment is not a good thing for me from that mindset point of view. So I'm often, if I allow myself to think, I will often think about my calves and what are they doing, and are they niggling, or was that a pain I just felt? So I try and keep myself distracted, and that's why I love podcasts so much, because I can laugh along, I can pretend I'm having a conversation with someone, and it just keeps my mind off some of those things. But often there are times that I'll think about my arms, and just trying to get some form happening. But generally what I think about is what's happening with my body, I guess, is a nice way to think about it. So,
yep. Excellent. Tim?
I think about all sorts of things. So depends on the run. If I'm in a race and I'm like racing with you or Patrick recently, I tend to do a lot of mathematical equations in my head. Working out pace per kilometre and how many kilometres to go, and then trying to work out what our finish time will be. And as you know, Tara, I take a bit of pride in actually predicting the finish time from about the halfway point of a marathon, going, we should finish at about this time. And quite often I'm close to it within a minute or two, and I just keep readjusting the calculations in my head as I'm running along. What else do I think about? On parkrun the other day, it was more about how many people can I pass between when I let go of you and when I got to the finish. And it was more of a game I was playing around how many people I can pass. And in other times, I'm thinking strategically for work, particularly on a long Sunday run. I will take some problems from work that I'm dealing with, take them on my long run with me, and work them all out while I'm on my run. Other times I'm thinking about form, I'm thinking about my breathing, I'm thinking about, technique and seeing if I can improve it. And then there's other times where I'm just sitting there going, I've just got to make it to the next light pole, and then I can walk, or I can stop, or I can rest. And it's amazing how something so arbitrary as a light post can actually mean so much when you're running. So, I think about all sorts of different weird things when I'm running. What about you, Tara?
Yeah, to start off with, my first thoughts, especially now that I have got this pacemaker, and it's almost like I've having to learn to rerun again. So When I start out, my first thoughts is more about my form, making sure that I'm not starting out too fast. I can't start out too fast. My heart will actually just go there straight away. So it's about warming up my body, feeling my muscles, thinking about my form, my breathing, and my technique. And then once I've gotten into that nice, as Tony calls it, metronomic rhythm that I get into, I then start to have those mind wanders into the really weird thoughts because, that takes me 2 or 3 Ks just to get the rhythm into place. And then I can start thinking about my weird stuff. But at the start, it's always about pace, not going out too fast, form and breathing, and just keeping everything, checking in with myself is the best way to put it. So, does anybody here actually ever zone out completely when they're running and then get to a point in their run and go, how did I actually get here? Like I know with driving, how with driving sometimes you're like, did I actually drive here? But I shouldn't admit that actually, should I? But like you're just zoned out completely. You're fully conscious of what's going on, but your mind is just blanked out. Does anybody do that when they're running? Lucia?
I think sometimes it does happen to me. Like I'm still conscious of my surroundings because you just don't know what's ahead of you, if it's like, if the road is uneven or something like that. But sometimes I can just not think of anything and then kind of come back into it, if that makes sense. So it does happen. And I'm like, what was I thinking about, like, let's say 500 meters ago? So yeah, no, it does happen, but I actually don't mind it because it's a good chance just to give the mind a break because it's like we always say about resting the body, but it's also important about resting the mind. So sometimes, yeah, I tune out. Well, truth be told, I tune out a lot with my family as well. So that does translate into the running, and it helps. And so I can tune out with the family, and then 5 seconds later, yeah, I'm like, yeah, what did you say? Type thing. Yes, unfortunately, it does happen, but I actually don't mind it.
Excellent. Tony, you're the same? No, you fully with it the whole way?
No, I can zone out. I just wish that I would zone out for longer and get to the end of the run and think, how did I get here? No, I'm constantly thinking, but I can zone out. And one of the things that I've started to do is I have a playlist now. If I'm not listening to a podcast, and sometimes podcasts aren't the mood I'm in, so I'll go to a playlist, and I've got a playlist now on Spotify that's 160 beats per minute. And I do tend to zone out with that because you can feel yourself running to the beat. And even though you've got the music, it more or less is noise. And I don't find myself skipping songs or anything. It's all about the beat. It's hitting the beat. And that's when I can zone out. And to be honest, that's probably when I run my best too.
Yep. Because you're not thinking about anything. You've already got that form, the breathing, everything's just working well for you and you feel like you can run forever. Yep.
Absolutely.
Kim, I know you say that you put your body to sleep for the first 30 Ks of a marathon. Is that the same for the mind or is it just the body?
The mind's always ticking over, but I do zone out when I go fast in races at times. I get real tunnel vision where I'm essentially only seeing a meter or so on either side of the straight line that I'm running, and I don't see anything out of my peripheral vision at all. And I don't notice anything. I don't see anything. I just focus on pace and moving forward. And all of a sudden you realize you've done 5 kilometers. And it's just like, where did that go? But have I ever completely zoned out and not realized where I am? Probably not.
Excellent. And I don't zone in to zone out. So that's the problem with me. If I zoned in a bit more to zone out, it would be all right. So no, I just think about really weird things when I'm running. And that's my next question to you guys. What is the weirdest thing that you have thought about when running? And Tony, I'm going to start with you.
At the moment, I think of lots of weird things. I come up with some of my best ideas ever. And then when I've stopped running, I think, that's so stupid. But there's the weirdest idea I've got at the moment is that where I work at Heathwood, my operations manager is running New York this year. He's running the New York Marathon, and our site general manager has never run a marathon and never has had the urge to run a marathon. So I've got this weird thought in my head that I'm going to sign Chris, my GM, up to a virtual marathon and then arrange it with people at work. We'll all map out at like a 10K loop. He can run it 4 times and a little bit more. And we get people from work because we've got a runners club there. And Andrew, the ops manager, can show up and do his last like long run prior to sort of New York. So really making it a side event. The interesting thing is that I won't be here because I'll be over in Amsterdam. And when I first raised it with Chris, Andrew's all for it because he loves seeing Chris in some level of pain, I would imagine. But Chris has said, he doesn't know if he's got it in him. So so that's one of the weirdest ideas. And at the moment, I've even found the marathon. As we know, Abbott's have got their global run club, and they do their virtual fall marathon. So I could sign him up for that, get him the medal so he's actually got something to put around his neck, all of those things. But that's the weirdest idea I currently have come up with. So whether it will come true, I don't know. But yeah, you did ask.
We've all got them in our heads. Tim, what's yours?
I had one ages ago. You know this one as well. I was running with you in our happy place, looking out over the water, and all you ever see is adult pelicans. You never see baby pelicans. And so the weirdest thought, I started discussing with Tara, and we discussed it for the rest of the run, is where do baby pelicans come from? Because you never see a baby pelican. Anyway, short story. We went back home, Googled it, and found out that baby pelicans do exist, but not on the coastlines. They actually grow up in lakes and waterways in Central Australia. And mummy and daddy pelicans fly back to Central Australia, lay eggs and grow them up, and then they fly back to the coast and live a happy life on the coast. So we learned something about pelicans that day, didn't we, Tara?
We did indeed. And yeah, we do think about some pretty weird stuff. Lucia, what's your weirdest things that you think about?
Probably one of the strangest, which it does happen regularly, is when I win the big lotto jackpot, how am I going to divide the money amongst family? And then with the house I'm going to buy, do I have a house, do I have a room just dedicated to all my running gear? How am I going to display the shoes, the medals? Will I put a gym in there? So it's all about winning the lotto. And yeah, so that's probably one of the weirdest ones, but it does happen quite a few times because I'm convinced each time I buy a ticket, yep, I'm winning the jackpot. And then when you don't get the call to say you've won, you're like, oh crap. There goes me buying unlimited pairs of shoes. So yeah, it's thoughts like that.
Understandable. Yes. No, I have weird thoughts like Tim's, like where do baby pelicans come from? Usually my weirdest thoughts are things around animals and why haven't I seen this breed of dog yet? I should have seen this breed of dog by this point in time. So not that I've ever seen, say, for example, a dog de Bordeaux in that particular spot, but I wanted to see one there and I sort of manifest that it's going to happen and it never does. So yes, I do have weird thoughts as well. If you bring your mind back when it's starting to wander, how do you do that? Like my brain, once it starts wandering off, my pace slows down and I realize that I'm doing like 8-minute 30 kilometers instead of 7-minute whatever I was doing. How do you bring yourself back into track? And how long does it take you after your mind's wandered, I guess? Tim, we'll start with you.
I do a full body scan when I start to realize I've wandered and my brain's a bit all over the place. So by body scan, I mean I wiggle my toes in my shoes. I flex my ankles just a little bit while I'm running and just flex them out a bit. I check for pain in my hips and hamstrings. I wiggle my fingers. I roll my shoulders back. I take a couple of deep breaths. And it's all about trying to reset my body as I'm running and do a self-check-in. I generally find that helps. The other thing I will do is I'll just stop and walk if I have to and take 2 or 3 minutes to reset myself and then reset myself and off I go.
Excellent. Luch?
Oh, it's a bit of, I don't know if I can pinpoint it exactly, but and I know we're coming up to another question shortly, so I don't want to divulge too much, but sometimes I'll say, I've paid to do this, so just suck it up and do it type of thing. So, and kind of remembering why am I doing it? But I think one thing that lately I've been like, if I'm trying to snap out of it, I always, like I say to myself, I'm lucky I can do it and not everyone can. So just keeping that in my mind, thinking, okay, well, don't bitch and moan about probably something stupid. Just, you can do it, so just do it type of thing.
Excellent. Good response. And Tony?
To be honest, I'm going to let my mind wander. So I don't make any special effort to bring it back. If it's wandering, it's enjoying itself. It means that it's not thinking about all the pain that's going through. So it's not thinking about my calves. So I know that it'll come back to me, whether it's, by having the mind wander, it might cause me to stumble a bit somewhere or run into a tree or a light pole or something. I that's never happened, by the way, listeners. But yeah, I usually let it wander because I know that it's in a good place and that I'm in a good place when my mind is thinking about other things other than my calves. So.
Yep, I'm with you, Tony. It's, my mind's got to be focused before I can, again, it's a bit like zoning in and out. I don't have a very focused mind at the best of times, so it's always wondering is the best way to put it. What about your best runs? When you do your best runs, are they your happiest runs? Like, for example, when Tim was saying that he gets tunnel vision when he runs fast, is that your happiest run, Tim, when you're running fast? Or do you prefer to run slow? What's your happiest run?
Depends what mood I'm in. I had happy run in New York with you running, and that was a fairly slow marathon for me. But I think happy runs don't have to be fast runs. Happy runs are when you're in the moment and you're just enjoying yourself and you're enjoying what it is and it feels easy. I'm quite mentally fatigued when I have my fastest runs because I'm thinking so much about everything, pace, doing the calculations in my head. My breathing's going through the roof. How do I bring it back down? My legs are they stretching out far enough? Can I stretch them out a little bit further? Can I catch that person in front? And by the end of that run, whether it's a 10K or a half marathon or a marathon, I'm mentally exhausted quite often at the end of it. So I'm not exactly happy at the end. I'll be happy with the result. And, a couple of hours later, I will reflect on it and go, yeah, that was fantastic. But most of the time I'm really exhausted. But happy runs are generally easy runs. They're runs that you get through, you achieve what you wanted to achieve, and it was easy.
Yep. Tony, you the sort of same feeling on that one as well, or are you happier when you're running fast?
Yeah, I think the definition of best run is probably what's important for me. So some of my fastest runs I would term as my best runs, and I've enjoyed them for what I've achieved. But some of my happiest runs are when I've been running with Sharon and we've both been feeling good and we get through it. So, and time doesn't necessarily matter. So I think, but there's also another definition of best runs. If I step out, say midweek Wednesday after work, just to roll the legs over and, maybe to do a 5 or a 6K just around the neighborhood. sometimes I can come back from that and say that just felt so good. So is that a best run? So I think there's varying definitions, but certainly, my fastest time ever from the marathon was certainly not a happy run because I nursed a torn calf for 28 kilometers or whatever. So that wasn't pleasant at all. I wasn't smiling and saying, "Oh joy, let's do this again." But it was my best run. It was my best time. But it's often those midweek runs that I would say they're my best runs. And yeah, they feel good. It's a happy run.
Yep, absolutely. And Luch, you're the same, I'm assuming. Just happy runs are the best runs or fastest runs?
Not necessarily. And I think what sticks out in my mind is Boston. Boston was one of my best runs, but wasn't necessarily one of my happiest. No, because it was a bloody brutal day, as we know. Underestimated the course, and it was hot. So it was my best run, definitely, but parts of it were happy, but I wouldn't say overall happy. I think also generally my happy runs are ones that I don't put any pressure on, whether it's just a long run and I'm just like, just however it comes out, don't care how fast or how slow it goes. Those are the ones where I'm like, yeah, do you know what? I actually could have gone further than what I had planned to. So yeah, it depends on the day as well. But yeah, not necessarily my happy runs are my best runs. Like I could have a crappy run, but yet still be happy, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep. And that's what it comes down to is yesterday's run for me did not go to anywhere near plan, but I was still happy. I was out in the sun. It wasn't raining. I was still able to get up on my feet and I was still moving. And I was grateful for that. I was grateful to be able to do what I love to do, even though it wasn't as fast as I wanted to. And even though there was lots of walk breaks. So I agree. Happy runs, it's all about the mindset that you put into what you have. And that's another thing that you can think about is, what you were just saying there. And Luch, I do know that you love running your half marathons with me, especially at Gold Coast, because you can tell me everything that you think about me at those points in time, can't you?
No comment.
Luch, this one's directed mostly at you. I know you use your mantras when you run. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, as we know. But how do these help you when you are running? I mean, it's a mental game, obviously, but what do you force, though? What are your mantras for other people?
For me, I've got a couple, and one of them is I've paid to do this, and believe, achieve. And another one is like they're simple. You've got this. Like I'll never forget. Probably the most one where it's maybe had the most impact was actually London. So London, I thought I was on track for a PB, but then I realised after Canary Wharf, the GPS had mucked me around. And then as we were coming through, I can't remember which town, but it was where they had the drag queens, that area. Like at one point, I'm just like, just like I'm yelling, just do it at the top of my lungs, just to perk myself up again. It's amazing that yelling at yourself, what it actually does, because you think, I don't care if people think I'm a lunatic, but it's just that I kind of need that confirmation. Just do it, just keep going. And it's just the tiny words. And I also have 2 wristbands as well, which I wear in races. So sometimes I just need to have a look at my why and just keep going. So it's, sometimes it works, but then unfortunately sometimes it doesn't, and you just have to go with it.
Yep, absolutely. Tony, do you have any mantras that you use when things get tough?
The one that works for me is why the bloody hell am I out here? So works no, I don't really have mantras. So and if it is getting tough, my go-to is just really focus on my arm movement and getting that right, and that seems to get me moving in the right place. And I guess it's good to have mantras for a lot of people, But for me, I just have that extreme confidence that no matter what happens, I'm going to get through it, or that commitment to myself that I'm going to get through it. And so I just start, if it's getting really, really tough that I've got to give myself a pep talk, I'm probably going to just focus on, let's get your arms moving, Tony, and let's get positive again. Or I might say, look up instead of looking down, or something like that. But it's a physical thing for me. It's not a mental couple of words kicks me back into gear.
Yep. And Tim, you don't have any mantras that I'm aware of? No. Excellent.
No.
And everyone knows my mantra, which is finish lines, not finish times. So, when things get tough and I look at it and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a 6-hour marathon. It's like, okay, that's okay. It's still out of the cutoff and it's a finish line. We all get the same medal. It's okay. So we all like to use distraction to manage our pain, especially Tony. So the fatigue and the pain is a real mind killer for all of us. Tim, what do you use as your distraction technique when it comes to with the pain and the fatigue?
Well, just general distraction in general. I guess I try to focus on someone in front of me and try to either keep the same distance between me and them as if they're trying to pull me along. And I use that as a bit of a distraction. I've got to try and maintain the same distance or try and stay with them. Or let's see if I can try and pass them in the next kilometre or two to do that. Classic example of distraction. We're in New York, you and I distracted you for the last, where was it? On
Fifth
Avenue as you're coming back towards Central Park and you go up that really big hill. What's that, about 37 Ks or so into the race, guys, 5 Ks to the finish line. And I knew Tara was struggling to get up that hill, and I just started talking to her about the journey, the 6-star journey we'd been on at that point, the previous races, and just memories from it all, and memories from the trip that we'd just been on. And before you knew it, you're up the top of the hill, Tara, weren't you? And you were like, how the hell did we just get up there? So sometimes talking to yourself or talking to somebody else, even talking to other runners around you, sometimes even back of the packers are very likely to be a bit chatty to one another and talk to one another and help each other out. So any of those is a good distraction.
And Tony, what do you do, especially with the pain in those calves? What's your good distraction to get away from that pain for you?
To be honest, I really haven't got a distraction technique. I just try and work through it. And the mind is always going to be there, focused around any little slight movement in the calf muscles. And I really don't try and distract myself at all. Probably the only distraction that I have, race days, it's easy to be distracted because you are always looking around at the people. And every now and again, I might look across at someone and say, you can't beat me, or I need to be in front of you, or there's going to be stuff like that going through my mind. And in the long runs that we do around Cleveland here, it's always good to be on the water, I guess, because, if ever it is getting really, really tough and really challenging, to be able to just run in a beautiful part of the world always makes it a little bit easier for me. But, I don't have anything in particular. Based on Tim's story, if I was ever to do that to Sharon, start trying to distract her about all the good news stories, I think I would be told where to put it in the most unpolite way. And yeah, so that just would not work at all for Sharon. And Sharon listens to this podcast, by the way, everyone. So Sharon hears everything I say about her, and she is a wonderful lady and everyone loves her. I'm the only one that's got to run with her. So remember that.
Poor Sharon. We all love Sharon. She's a saint of a woman to deal with Tony all the time, that's for sure.
Yeah. It was interesting. She met people at Gold Coast and they come up and say, you're the Sharon. So, yeah.
We need to petition to get her on the show.
I said that to her at Goldie, and she's like, no, not happening. not going to do it. But I think if we get enough listener feedback, maybe we can sway her mind, Tony.
I think we have a
it.
chance of getting Sharon on the show as what we do of getting Patrick on the show. So probably not. Lucia, apart from ice cream and donuts and thick shakes, what distracts you on your run?
A range of things. So when I see people, if they've got, like if they're all taped up, their knees, their hammies, their quads, I think to myself, if you have to wear that much tape, why are you running? But then I also want to beat them as well. So weird things like that. And also people's outfits. I love analysing people's outfits. I'm like, oh, I like that top. I like those socks. I like those shoes. Where do you get them from? So I kind of just go into weird places to kind of take my mind off things and thinking, why am I doing it? Why am I doing it to myself? So that doesn't distract me. Sometimes that makes it worse. But I think ultimately, I love people watching people's different running forms. You think, I wouldn't be running like that. I wouldn't be swinging your arms over, or I wouldn't be your feet pointing out. So I focus on people and how they run sometimes because it's just fascinating. Love it.
Oh, you got to do whatever you can do to distract yourself. And I think everyone knows my distraction is always dogs. So if I can find some puppies along the way, I like to see how many puppies per mile, as Tony likes to call it. And my other distraction, especially in situations where you know you're going to be out there for a long time, is looking at the people on race days or park runs, if it's an out and back, and you get to see the people coming back towards you. I love looking through the crowd that are coming back towards you and seeing who I know and calling out to them. Or if I'm that out of my zone and people calling out to me, it's like, oh, cool, you've just brought me back to the race. Thank you very much. So that's probably my biggest distraction. I know Tim's answer to this, but I'll ask him anyway. Do you chase other runners and races around you as a way of helping you get to the end?
100%. It's a race. That's what you're doing. Particularly in finishing shoots, I like to put a big sprint finish on to pass that person that's just been in front of me for the last 100 meters or two. Quite often somebody's just passed me and it's like, well, I'm not going to let you beat me, so I'm going to go past you. But yeah, all the time I'm chasing people down, whether I'm trying to use them to hold me and hold the distance between me, or whether it's motivation to move forward. I always am looking at the runners around me.
Yep. Tony?
I don't race people, but I do use people to pace off, and I always feel that it's better to run with people. And that being said, often I'll find myself the lone runner in a race. So you're running with 50,000 other people for New York, and there's space around me, and I don't know whether that's because I smell or what. I don't know, but I like running with people, just not too close and not too far. But I don't get competitive. It was interesting at Gold Coast this year. Once again, I started off really, really well for my pace. But during the course of the race, I saw the 4-hour 30 paces run past me. Because when I stayed with them for a while, and I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm going better than I thought. And then I just gradually let them go. And then the 5-hour pacer comes along, and I run with them for a while. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm okay. And then I just let them go. And then the 5-hour 30 pacer, and I thought, yeah, okay, just let them go. So,
not even going to try running with those ones.
But it was a very interesting experience. But I do like runners, and Gold Coast this year. When I run with Sharon, she won't let me talk to other runners or yell out or cheer, and that's what keeps me going sometimes. Whereas Gold Coast this year, I had a field day talking with people, hearing their stories and whatnot. So enjoyed it.
Including Patrick and myself for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was
and
good.
Lucia, do you chase people down, or are you just happy sitting in your own spot?
I'm very similar to Tim. In a finish shoot, I find my second wind, and if there's someone that's not too far in front of me, I'm coming for you. I'm going for it because I seem to get the second wind in the finisher shoot. So I'm like, if there's someone that I've been eyeing, especially if it's a kid, I'm like, I'm not going to let a kid beat me. So yeah, I'll go. I'm more than happy to admit I'll go for it.
And there is nothing wrong with that. It's just that it's funny because, well, yeah. And I don't necessarily pick people off anymore. It's more about maintaining the position that I'm sitting in. So if I know that there's people behind me, I don't want them overtaking me. So it's not a case of me trying to pick people off so much. It's more about I don't want the people behind me passing me. And I'm not going to bust a gut so that they don't, but that's my motivation to keep going, I guess, rather than stopping and walk.
I think one of the unique things around running a marathon, and no doubt we've all noticed this, is that often you'll run for large parts of that race with certain people around you. So whether you're sometimes in front, sometimes behind, I know when Sharon and I, Jeff together, will sometimes take someone past someone, and then we'll slow for our walk, and then they'll take over us. And it's almost like in that last segment, we've shared this thing. We've got a bond, and we're all high-fiving people at the end that we really didn't talk to. We just ran 30 kilometers with them or something. So I think that's one of the real unique things around marathon running, is that you can run with people without necessarily running with people, if you know what I mean. And then at the end of the race, you feel like you've all done something together, and then you just all go your separate ways again. So,
well, I don't even know about going your separate ways, because some of my best friends are actually people that I've met when I've been running, and now they're like part of my life and part of my family. So, yeah, and I've met them just on a 6-hour marathon run, or even sometimes it's a 10K run. So, yeah, I'm not going to comment on going separate ways there. Now, I am very mindful of time, and we are getting to the end, but I'm going to ask one more quick question. So we've all been in very dark places when we've been running. How do we overcome those thoughts when we are? And I personally have done a DNF myself. I just could not complete it. Mentally, it was hot. I didn't want to kill myself. It just wasn't worth it for me. And I couldn't pull myself out of that dark spot myself to know that I had to do that second loop of a 25K course. So I pulled out at 12.5 Ks. I sat down and I actually cried. I felt miserable, and I think we've all been there before. So how do we pull ourselves out of that, or do you just let it happen and you pull yourself out? Lucia, don't think I'm picking on you here, but I want to know the answer here.
No, God, no. It's so Goldie, classic example. I was not in a good way in Goldie in the marathon. I was crying like a baby at the 5K mark, and I couldn't even tell you why. So it was very hard for me that day, but I've been able to reflect on it and knowing that what I did on that day was right, and the lessons that it's taught me. So it takes more courage to pull out of a race than it does to stay in it and be miserable for an extended period of time. So you've got to be, I was confident in making the decision while it was hard. And that day afterwards, my friends were trying to console me. I'm like, don't, because I just need to be where I am. So yeah, it took me like a day or so, but I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason. Very firm believer. And if you can kind of accept it, then it's easier to move on.
Yep, absolutely. So to pull yourself out of your dark place, allow that to happen, and pull and just, yep. Okay, so that's your way.
And move on.
Yep. Tony, do you have anything?
Yeah, I've got what I call my inner sook. The inner sook comes out often, and it really is just me telling it to shut up. So And there's a couple of things here, because I think you've got to acknowledge the thoughts, because, if you suppress it or try and ignore it, they're just going to keep coming back and bubbling up. But if my inner sook's going that, my leg's hurting or something, I've got to counter that with something that's relatively factual, like, come on, mate, I've got 1K to go. Surely that leg's going to hold out that long. So, yeah, I've got the inner sook that pops up, and I just try and bamboozle it, I guess, with a couple of facts, or I'll have a whinge to Sharon and she'll tell the inner sook where to go. So,
and Tim, you are the most positive person I know, and I'm not just saying that because I'm your wife. I actually do believe you are the most positive person, and I'm not sure you actually get a inner sook or a bad thought going through your head. I know you worry when I'm running by myself about me more so than yourself, but do you actually have bad thoughts for yourself?
No, not really.
No, I didn't think so.
I guess one of the things I do is when I'm in the starting corral or just about to cross the start line, or as I cross the start line, I generally say to myself, right, that's it. There's only one way to the finish line, and that is the only way. And so when I do feel a bit that way in a run, and I'm trying to think when it's ever happened when I have been feeling that down, but when it does get to a point like that, it's like, oh, no, Tim, there's only one way to the finish line. You just got to keep going and you'll get there one step after another, and you'll eventually get there. Just work out how you're going to get there. It's going to happen. And whether that's a mantra or not, I don't know what it is, but it's enough for me to keep moving forward, because I know there's only one way to the finish line.
Excellent. And look, Tim is the abnormality of most of us. 95% or 99% of people have these dark thoughts, and it doesn't necessarily mean when you're running, but most people actually do have negative thoughts. It is normal, and it's the way that you overcome it as to what your outcome's going to be. So it's okay, as Lucia said, to stop and reflect back on why you're feeling this way. Don't think that you're playing for sheep stations. You need to look after your mental health and your physical health. And by getting through those dark thoughts, sometimes continuing on running is the best thing. Sometimes stopping and walking is the best thing. And sometimes pulling out altogether is the best thing. You are the only person that will know that as a runner yourself. So, guys, I'm very mindful of time. We've gone a bit over, so it's been a great chat. I hope we've helped many of our listeners mentally get through some of their dark spots and their good spots, and reflect back on what makes them happy as to why they run as well. And it's now that time of the week where we're going to get our tip from Tim. So, Tim, what is your tip this week?
Thanks, Tara. My tip this week is we always end the show saying happy running, and we actually mean that. There's some reasoning behind why we say happy running. It can be just a couple of words, but really when you look up what running happy means, or being happy when you run, running happy releases stress and anxiety. It improves resilience. It boosts the mood. It can strengthen mental toughness. It can get you into a zone where time will start to disappear. It can feel effortless when you're running happy. It can improve your breathing. All of a sudden, your breathing seems easier. It can be promoting or providing better efficiency and form when you're running happy, boosts motivation and confidence, and enhances recovery. So they're all the sort of benefits when you do run happy and you're in your happy space. So not all runs need to be a fast run where you're pushing yourself to exhaustion. Sometimes running happy is all those things, making it better for everyone. So when we say happy running at the end of the show, we really mean it. We want people to enjoy their running. We want them to get all those benefits I just mentioned, and we want people to really have running as part of their life for the rest of their life, not just for a short period of time until they get sick and tired of it. So run happy, everybody. That's my tip.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Tim. So this episode is about to end, but before we do that, Tony, what is on for next week?
Thanks, Tara. Next week, we have a very special guest who's joining us next week and every other week. But next week, we've got Tara joining us. She's coming onto the show to talk about her heart and the journey that she has taken with her heart. We'll talk about the limitations and the problems that she's encountered along the way, the recovery she went through, and the ongoing problems and I guess the way forward for her with that. So for those that know Tara, they know it's been one hell of a journey as they've tried to work out what the hell was going wrong, but now that we seem to be on a path to recovery, what that means in the future. So Tara is also going to tell us about a worldwide group of super athletes who collectively call themselves the cardiac athletes. So this is going to be a very awesome show, and I highly recommend you tune in next week and pass it on to all your friends. And we're going to keep on saying it. We're the only podcast. Well, actually, we're not going to keep on saying it because very soon we'll be changing the mantra. But currently, we are the only podcast with 4 6-star world major medalists, and we can't wait to share the journey that Tara's been on. As usual, it's going to be an amazing episode. So don't miss it.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
And if I'm and I've got to get the puns in. Sorry, it's going to be a heartfelt episode, and definitely one heartbeat not to be missed.
I think we need a new script writer. I bet it's not me.
So for the audience out there, Tim writes that every week and just really loves hearing us say those puns. So that's why you'll often see many of us balk or pause or try and change the word. So I can see Lucia is highly impressed by that one. It's a heartfelt episode. Back to you, Tara.
Thank you so much for that, Tony. So that's it for this week's show. And on that note, we're going to wrap things up. I had a lot of fun catching up with you guys tonight and having a laugh or two. I hope you have all have a good week ahead, and I can't wait to catch up with you all again next week when we do it all over again. We love making this podcast for you, our listeners. So let us know what you think. Message us on Instagram, Facebook, email us at happyrunning@flyingrunner.com. And if you've got any running tips, if you've got any questions or queries, just let us know. We love to hear from you. You can watch this episode on Spotify and YouTube. You can listen to us on Apple, Amazon, and all other major podcast platforms. So every step forward, every step counts. Keep running, and we'll see you on the next time on the Flying Runr Podcast. Until next week, happy running.
Happy running.